$3, that's all I have for my birthday cake. Emma's trembling voice barely reached the bakery clerk. Outside, snowflakes floated through the quiet street, but inside, time seemed frozen, like Emma's life. She stared at the smallest cake on display for. It might as well have been a fortune. Her wheelchair squeaked slightly as she shifted, praying no one noticed the tear sliding down her cheek. Then, just as she whispered goodbye to hope, the door swung open, cold air rushed in, followed by the laughter of a little girl and her father. That moment would change everything, not just for Emma, but for them too. Emma had once been a rising star, a music prodigy with a piano scholarship and dreams larger than life. Her fingers spoke in melodies that made strangers cry. But one night erased all of it. A drunk driver ran a red light. The crash shattered metal, glass, and her future. When she woke 3 weeks later, doctors said she'd never walk again. Her parents had died years before, and her grandmother, the only person who believed she was destined for greatness, passed away soon after the accident. Now, Emma lived alone in a small, cold apartment with peeling paint and a second-hand keyboard. Loneliness was her only constant companion. For weeks, she'd been saving coins for her own small birthday cake, a symbol that she still mattered. But she was $1 short. She tried smiling as she handed the crumpled bills to the clerk, but her voice broke. I just wanted something small, just a piece to celebrate. That's when Daniel and his 6-year-old daughter, Sophie, entered. Their laughter felt out of place in Emma's world of silence. Sophie noticed her first, not the wheelchair, but the sadness in Emma's eyes. Daddy, she looks sad, Sophie whispered. And before Daniel could stop her, the little girl walked up to Emma with the courage only children possess.
Hi, I'm Sophie. Is it your birthday? You should have cake.
Daniel crouched beside his daughter, meeting Emma at eye level. Let us buy it for you, he said softly. Emma shook her head, pride battling tears. But Sophie grinned.
Please, birthdays without cake are illegal! Daddy says rules are rules!
Laughter filled the room, something Emma hadn't heard in so long it felt foreign. Finally, she whispered. Okay, just a small one. As the clerk boxed the cake, Sophie chatted endlessly about her school and her mom who lives in heaven. Emma's smile faltered, realizing this cheerful child had known loss too. When they sang, Happy Birthday, together, the whole bakery joined in. For the first time in years, Emma closed her eyes and made a wish. Not to walk again, not for money, but for the warmth in that moment to last just a little longer. Daniel offered to drive Emma home, but Sophie had another idea.
Daddy, she should come play our piano.
Daniel hesitated, but Emma surprised herself by saying yes. Maybe it was the warmth in his voice, or the hope in Sophie's eyes. Maybe she just didn't want the day to end. Their home was beautiful, yet full of unspoken grief. Photos of a red-haired woman, Sarah, filled the shelves. Daniel's wife, gone too soon. Emma felt like she was stepping into someone else's dream. Then she saw the grand piano untouched, waiting. Her hands trembled as she pressed the first key. The sound was imperfect but alive, and soon her fingers moved like they remembered who they were. Music poured out fragile and full of emotion, echoing through rooms that hadn't felt joy in years. Sophie clapped wildly.
That was magic.
Real magic. Daniel's eyes softened. You brought life back into this house. That night they shared dinner, spaghetti and laughter. For a few precious hours they felt like a family. Days turned into weeks. Emma became Sophie's piano teacher. Daniel paid her more than she asked, said she was worth it. Their connection deepened with every melody, every smile shared across the piano bench. Then one evening Daniel revealed something that stole Emma's breath. Years ago, before her accident, she had saved a little girl who'd run into traffic. A girl with a unicorn backpack. That girl was Sophie. Fate had brought them together again. Daniel knelt beside her. You saved my daughter once from danger, and again from grief. You saved us? His voice broke. Emma, I love you, she cried. Tears of disbelief, of healing. For once, love didn't feel like a miracle she couldn't afford. It felt like coming home. Months later, they married in the backyard under falling petals. Sophie stood beside them, proudly holding the rings. Together, they built Keys to Hope, a music school for disabled children, and every year on Emma's birthday, they returned to that same bakery to buy cake for someone who couldn't afford one. A reminder that sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change an entire life.